7,000 high school students drop out every school day. Let's catch them before it's too late. To start helping students in your community, visit boostup.org.
Welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today, Steve Conrad from the Lancaster Parks Department. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. How about yourself?
Wonderful. You loving this warm weather?
No. Well, today's not bad. It's almost like tropical heat wave, but man, that below zero stuff, you can have it.
Yeah, and you spend a lot of time in Hawaii, too.
No, we're fortunate. My wife was born and raised there, and you know, you have to go visit the in-laws. I suffer.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we spent almost 3 weeks there, and a lot of it's helping mom, you know, around the house and stuff, but we still get some beach time, a lot of food time.
Really? Now, do you go back every year? I mean, do you go every year?
Yeah, we try to get back every year. She'll be, I think, 86 or 87 this year. She doesn't drive, and so we try to come in December. And you know, my sister-in-law, who actually, my wife went from Hawaii to Ohio. My sister-in-law went from Hawaii to Saipan.
Oh,
so she comes during the summertime, and then, of course, my wife's brother still lives there. But, you know, it's fun going over, seeing the nieces and nephews.
Oh, sure.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
And the weather is not too shabby.
Oh, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
A lot of activities going on in the Parks Department. I know wintertime, fall, summertime. We were just talking off air about ice skating at Rising Park.
Well, Mike, you remember, I know I graduated from high school in 1972, and, well, that's public record now. Everybody knows how old I am.
The whole crew just laughed
That's
at that.
right. We used to spend every afternoon after school at Rising Park. It seemed like the pond froze all the time. And lately, I don't know, the weather doesn't stay cold long enough, but it's never frozen. I've been there 22 years. I think we've skated twice in those 20 years. Well, now we just measured today. We've got 7.5 inches of ice. Our guys, someone donated a really nice snow blower, so we've got it cleaned off, and yeah, dust off those old skates. And do you ice skate, Mike?
No, I used to a long time ago, and I was the guy with the had the chair and the broom and all those things.
You probably had those little 4 blades of runners, you know, the training skates, huh?
Yeah, that was it. Now, do you skate?
I do. Not anymore. I used to be really pretty good at it. You know, one of our things we used to do, you know, oh man, I'm going to get people in trouble if I do this, but don't do this at home. I was a professional. But you know, the shelter house above the small pond?
Yes.
We used to go down that hill on our ice skates.
Well, that's all right. That's okay.
It was okay till cars were coming around.
Now, so can people go out and skate now?
Absolutely. Get out there. It's perfect for ice skating. Just go out and have a good time. You know, always have a bonfire. And now we don't have the lights we used to have, so it does close at dark.
Okay.
But you know, this weekend, even if they say it's supposed to be in the upper 40s, we have to have 4 inches of ice. We're not going to lose 4 inches with the heat, so get out there and have a good time.
Right. Now, were there classes if somebody wanted to learn how to ice skate, or is that not?
Go to the chiller.
The chiller?
Yeah, no, we don't. You know, there used to be, back in the 70s, they had a guy that just did nothing but stand out there and monitor all the people skating, but I don't even know where you buy ice skates around town anymore. We used to get them at Lancaster Sales.
I haven't been on ice skates for years. So.
Yeah.
One of the areas that we were talking about off air was Olivedale has been shut down for some time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of my fears when we were in Hawaii, you know, I kept checking Ohio weather and laughing, and I saw it was 15 or 16 below, and my fear was that my pipes would freeze up. I'd come home to a mess. But that happened to Olivedale. The sprinkler system actually froze up and burst, and from what I understand, there's about 3 to 4 inches of water on the floor. They had a company come in to dry it up. They started January 8th. They just left yesterday.
Oh my.
The whole subfloor has to be replaced. The flooring on top, we couldn't find anything to match, so we've got to replace all of that. It's going to be probably the end of February before we have this whole project done. But you know, Steve Gayfield and I, Friday, we do a radio show on WRFD, and WFCO. Man, I did that one. Wrong radio station.
That's okay.
I said that. Something doesn't sound right. It's WFCO. Man, sorry, Steve Rao. But we were talking on Friday that it doesn't pay to do it halfway, and then we've got to get it done correctly. So it's a timely project, but it'll be back up to snuff hopefully by the end of February.
Fantastic. I know there's a list of all the programs and all the things going on, a website people can go to check out, phone number, what's the easiest?
Well, absolutely. And if you want to keep up with what's happening in Olivedale, I mean, Carla Young, who's our manager there, you can call them at 687-6655. But our main park office is 687-6651. And they will give you any information you need to know about what's going on in the parks. We've got a lot of activities, like you said, with nature programs and sign-ups for spring programs. But we do have a nice website. It's www.lancasterparks.com. And I've been working, getting that updating our calendar and everything. So I think everything should be pretty close to being up to snuff. And you can find out what's going on that way. And, multimedia, I tell you, it's really changed my job, Mike, over the last 20 years.
And you've been with the parks how long?
I started in 1992, so this is my
Okay.
22nd year.
Right.
And just being able to communicate and get information out, multimedia, man, email and Facebook is, I think someone said they saw the ice skating on our Facebook, and they passed it on to someone else. So it's really a great tool to get information out to what's going on. And the other information tool we have, we do a yearly brochure, and that's the printers as we speak, and hopefully it'll be done in a couple weeks.
In the last 22 years, what have you seen improvement-wise in the Parks Department?
Well, it's just changed immensely. We've seen a lot of Rising Park. We've seen the update on all the playground equipment. It's changed dramatically since you and I were there. Martin's Park. My first or second year, it opened up. They didn't have Martin's Park. Girls and the boys all shared Miller Park. We really have seen a lot of growth. When I was at Alec Park, my first couple of years, a lot of the programs we didn't have that beautiful nature center. We still had Charles Alley's little double wide mobile home that was our nature center. So we've seen the growth there. And I just think volunteerism and everything has just really improved. Our Friends of the Parks program, that group is really being aggressive in trying to help raise money to do things that we can't do in our normal budget. So those are a lot of the big things. Of course, the soccer complex has grown, and just a lot of improvements with the parks. And the other big change, the biggest change, Mike, and to me it's kind of depressing, is after 22 years, I am now the oldest person on staff. The other guys that were older retired. I am the oldest guy there. So that's the biggest change.
So seniority rules, right? I mean, that's...
Well, I guess so, if you want to say that. The neat thing about working for the Parks Department, I told my brother-in-law, we're in Hawaii, you really don't mind coming back because you really enjoy the people you work with. We don't have that hierarchy where I lord over people or Steve. We all work together to serve the community, and obviously I have to make decisions, but I'm no different than the maintenance people. I can't do my job without them doing their job, and it's really a good place to work.
People ask all the time, well, it's wintertime, the parks aren't being used, but they are being used. What are crews doing in the wintertime? I know they're working on maintenance, vehicles and those things.
Well, absolutely. Well, lately they've been pushing snow. I mean, as soon as it snows, we've got to clear off, sidewalks around Enrico Park. We've got to clear off the skate or the bike trail. Just a lot of that stuff going on. But you're right, a lot of it's getting ready for spring. We have a couple of really nice mowers that are getting older. And so we have to tear those apart, rebuild them, fix them up. And if we don't do that maintenance, then they break down and the grass doesn't get mowed. And a brand new mower, it's $70,000. So
$70,000?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of like your car, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe 700.
Yeah, but no, the people don't realize how expensive a lot of this equipment is, and we're fortunate enough to have guys that really take good care of it. We have an HR-15. I don't know if you remember Jim Schaefer. Used to be one of our rangers, a part-time. He still comes out and helps clean up downtown in the summer for us. But he was responsible for the big HR-15. It has 15-foot mowing decks. That thing should have been scrapped years ago, and we're still using it for some part-time mowing, just because he treats it with love. Yeah.
When I know we talk about summer programs and winter programs, there is one coming up in March, which is
that's a maple tapping festival. It's really kind of neat. We tap trees. We used to do it the old-fashioned way. We had a couple of guys, volunteers, Larry Smith and Norm Wendell. They would tap the trees the old-fashioned way and put all the sap into a big old kettle and boil it over an open fire, And we've kind of got a little more sophisticated. We've got an evaporator, and one of the things that our nature ed people like to do is show school groups and different people the ways it was tapped over the history. And so we have a trail. You can go back and you can see just the old buckets, you know, hanging onto a tap. And then we have the sophisticated big storage tanks with the rubber tubes going from tree to tree. But that's coming up March 8th. We'll probably be tapping trees here within the next couple of weeks as the weather changes. And you know, it's real cold, it starts warming up. That's when that sap starts flowing like crazy. But it's March the 8th. The whole thing will go from 8 to noon. From 8 to 11, we'll have a pancake breakfast, $4.
Always good.
And it's a great time. It's the first really big program we have of the year. Everybody's kind of got cabin fever, and they come out. And it's a really good time. We've been out there when we've had rain, we've had snow, we've had ice storms, and it's beautiful. The ice all over the trees. So we've only, in my 22 years, we've only canceled once because of weather. I think we were like a level 2 snow emergency.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do people give you a lot of suggestions on what, you know, why don't you have this, why don't you have that? I was in Cincinnati and I saw this, or I was in Cleveland and I saw this?
Well, you know, that's how I operate. I don't have all the knowledge in the world. I don't have that magic pill that I can come up with all the ideas. And I have people that come up to me and say, hey, you know, we got a bunch of people interested in doing this. And I said, and a lot of times I'll say, well, show me how many's a bunch. Sometimes
Right.
one or two.
Yeah.
But other times we had a lady that wanted to teach sign language. Okay, so we gave it a shot. Not a lot of people signed up, but that's how things work. They come to me and I have an idea for this or an idea for that. And, you know, just like, I'm sure in your business you hear all the time, not everything's feasible. But, but that's how that's how my nature ed program really got started. I had a girl that came up and said, you know, we used to have preschool hikes. You know, how come we don't do that anymore? I said, well, the person that did it's gone. I don't have anybody to do that. 2 weeks later, she came in and said, well, you know what? My background's in education. I think I could do that. And she started it, and she built up our nature ed program. So that's how it happens.
Do you have a lot of schools that call and say, can we do this, can we do this?
Oh my God, my nature ed program, we get calls from schools all the time. Now, we didn't get as many last year because of different issues. They didn't go on a lot of field trips. So what we did, we have a traveling road show. They call us, and we'll go to their school a lot of times.
Really?
Yeah, the girls pack up some of the animals and different things and go and talk to the schools. And but yeah, we get schools coming out there all the time from all over the county.
So should they just get a hold of you, contact the...
Well, actually, they should contact Trina Thornton at Alley Park.
Okay.
And her email is alleyparkoe@yahoo.com.
Okay. So get JT to get that up for us on
Yeah, and I mean schools all over. We were really instrumental in working with the schools for their ROE programs during the springtime, and we had schools from every day in May coming out. It was great.
When do you start thinking about summer programs? Softball, all those things that go on?
As soon as I get back from Hawaii. I mean, you know, like right now, Friday is our deadline for soccer registration, you know,
Okay.
and people say, well, why do you do it in January? It takes me a long time to find coaches, get it organized. I've already got our softball information on our website. I'll be passing that information out to the coaches. You know, it has to give them time to find sponsors and all the different things. So, you know, after our State of the Park program, I kind of kick back and relax a little bit, you know.
Now, when is the State of the Park? When is that?
That's supposed to be, well, we don't have a really State of the Park.
Okay.
It's a State of the City. And, and
right.
usually we
Okay.
have something that we present there, but
Right.
it was supposed to be February the 26th at Olivedale. Well, as we said before,
right.
it may not happen. We're not really sure. They may postpone it, and because they really like doing it at Olivedale, yeah.
When all the people talk about scheduling and all those things, are all of those sports still as active? I mean, softball and soccer, and I remember years ago when I played. I mean, when I could run years ago, before artificial knees and all those things. But is it still as popular as it was?
Yeah, my softball leagues always fill up. I can take, because of the limited number of adult diamonds that I have, I can take 16 teams in each league, and it always fills up. Soccer's on a little bit of a downswing right now. At our peak, we had about 1,000 kids playing. Last season, it was about 600. It varies.
Sure.
But yeah, we still have a lot. And I don't know if it's so much they're not playing soccer, that kids are involved in so many different things.
Right.
You've got girls playing softball, you've got volleyball, you got gymnastics. You know, you're a volleyball coach, and I play tennis every Tuesday out at the Fairfield, well, the Recplex now.
Yeah.
And every Tuesday night they have volleyball camp.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a camp or clinics, or
Clinics,
I don't even know who's doing it, but there's a ton of girls out there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
When you look at your schedule and people say, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Is there, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but is it difficult to break down adults and youth? I mean, or do you have young kids, like some of the crew here that wants to play with the adult?
I don't for my adult softball, you have to be at least 18 years old or graduated from high school. And the reason I do that, you get people that still want to play softball that are 40-some years old. They don't want to play with an 18-year-old kid or a 16-year-old kid that's going to outrun them, and they complain about that. So I try to keep it age specific. I prefer 18 and over.
Yeah. When you put there's an expense to everything.
Right.
I mean, obviously you're working on a budget and all those things. Most of the programs are pretty reasonable. There's not a lot of cost. I mean, overhead, we'll say, built into running the program.
Well, absolutely. Our soccer program is only $35. Very inexpensive. If you've been involved in the sports and stuff, and you see they're expensive. 35 is cheap, and the reason we're able to do that is, number one, we are supported by an income tax. That's where we get our funding. It doesn't nearly cover everything we need, but I think as Parks and Recs, we don't want to operate the same as a private club. We need to give the public a break. But I can offer it for $35 because of the generosity of the businesses of Lancaster. I get a lot of people that sponsor soccer teams, and it's relatively inexpensive. It's $115 for a season, or if you sign up right away for both spring and fall, it's only $200. And that's relatively inexpensive advertising. Have your name on the back of the shirt. And you know what I found out's interesting? Some of these shirts get recycled. I saw some kid, wearing one. I said, "Oh, you one of my soccer players." She goes, "No, I got this at Goodwill." So your business it goes around and around, I guess, for generations.
Now, when we talk about the sporting programs and all the different things, there's other things. Now, you talked about. I want to say stargazing. At one time, you had programs for that.
Well, yeah. Not everything we do is what we call active recreation. We have a lot of things that are passive, where you just watch people. It's Friday night bandstand is a really big one. People just go down and enjoy the music. Roger Grossenbacher, who for years was a science teacher and ran the planetarium out at Lancaster High School, he comes back in August and he does a lot of other things for the parks, but he does a stargazing program, which is very educational. We're out at Alley Park from 9 to about whenever they want to go, and it'll be out on August the 23rd, I believe is the date. You can find out on our website and when our brochure comes out. But anyway, it's one thing to look at stars through a telescope. It's another thing to look at them and have someone explain what they are. And so, one of the really cool things is we're sitting there watching one time, and you can see the space station going by. And he explained it, because you see this light flashing and going, thinking, okay, that's the International Space Station.
Wow.
And you can see that with the naked eye. So we do those kind of things. There's always, for ages 55 and over, activities going on at Olivedale. It's not a retirement old folks home, it's an activity center. So there's a lot of things going on there. And something that people don't realize, if you're 55 and join, we have the wellness center with exercise equipment stuff. If your spouse is not 55, they can still come with you.
Really?
Yeah, they can still become a member with you. So that's kind of a neat thing. We have all kind of things going on that don't require you to play sports or whatever. We just do a lot of stuff. I mean, it's always busy.
One of the things, the Friday night bandstands. I mean, they start have you got stuff already lined up for that, or is that?
Yeah, one of the things we started doing, Mike, and actually Mitch Overton did it before I took it over, was we started going through a talent agency, and we go through class acts out of Columbus, and I have a budget. And I can't talk about Friday Night Bandstand without thanking Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan. They have sponsored it for 30 years, I believe it is. And they give me a budget. I work within that. And that doesn't take care of the sound system. JVP does all the sound, and we pay for that. But Paul Hoy from Class Acts, he has a plethora of great entertainers. They're not just garage bands. They're really good entertainers. And so we work within that budget. He gives me ideas. And, the hardest thing for me doing this, I like a certain style of music.
Sure. And I'm sure you get opinions on it.
And you like a certain style of music, and someone else does. And so you have to get a broad. I don't like country music, and I'll say it right up front. I don't like it. I never have. And I tease everybody. I say my wife and I are probably the only two people left in the United States that likes disco. But anyway, I can't shove my taste down the public. So, we have a whole plethora of it, and we try to get country. We've got some bluegrass. jazz bands. The biggest hit's always the British Invasion, who comes in and they do stuff from the. And this will be a big year because this is the 50th anniversary of the Beatles coming to the Ed Sullivan Show.
I just saw a special on that the other night.
Remember what you were doing that day?
No.
I do.
Do you really?
I
what were you doing?
It was a Sunday evening. My mom and dad were in a bowling league with Chuck and Carol Kessler at Tiki Bowling Alley, and my neighbor Jeanette Apple was babysitting my sister and I, and we watched the Beatles and went crazy. And I can remember Jeanette popcorn for us, and my mom came home just thoroughly upset. I can't believe she didn't wash the dishes.
So what did you think when you saw the Beatles? I mean, you remember what you were like?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I think the whole world changed. You would go to Super X drugstore. I don't know if you remember that one in town, which was you could buy Beatles wigs. They had Beatle cards. They had Beatle shoes. I mean, everything. It was amazing how society just transformed because of the Beatles. Sure. I mean, people. I could never understand all these girls screaming and crying.
That's what we have. The whole crew here figuring out who the Beatles are.
Google it, guys.
They're trying to figure out what in the world he's talking about.
That was in 1964. You guys remember it well, right?
When we do the Friday night bandstands, I know people ask about the acts and all those things, but eventually it goes back to all the parks that are in the city. I mean, there's just not one or two. You hear about it a lot, but go through all the parks that we have here in Lancaster.
Well, obviously, back in 1909, we became a park system. That's when the Board of Park Commissioners was approved. So we're over 100 years old. But, Philip Rising gave us Rising Park, and that was the first park. Well, it's kind of expanded. We have what we call parks that, like Miller Park and Martin's Park, where you go to for organized sports. But we also have a whole bunch of what we call neighborhood playgrounds. And I think, to me, those are as important as the big, because those are in people's backyards. Total, we have probably 26 different parks. The neighborhood playgrounds, I think, are really important because that's someplace for those kids to go and have some fun activities and really keep active during some. One thing I was talking to my wife the other day, I think it's really sad how things have changed in yours and my lifetime. The NFL has a program now. It's called 60 Minutes a Day. 60 minutes? That's nothing. I think it's pretty sad that we're asking kids to exercise only 60 minutes a day when we used to go out from dusk, dusk to dark, or whatever. Out of the disc golf course, you can find it on our website.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Have you ever tried it?
I did it a couple times. I went out there and did it. It's fun. I enjoy it. I mean, it's kind of relaxing, actually. It's not like playing golf. You're still competitive, but it's kind of relaxing to do.
Oh, I know. And you know what? Golf is so frustrating. It's the most humbling sport. Last time I played, I lost 8 balls in the first 7 holes.
That's what I remember. I was on city council with Ken Culver.
Yeah.
And we were talking about golf, and Ken said, well, I played over at Spidell over in West Virginia. I said, you did?
Well, that's Ogilvy.
Yeah. And he said, I was 2 under. And I said, Ken, you know how tough that course is?
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.